Hello, we're continuing with the laws of Megillah, and we're in the Mishnah Brura. We're in Siman Tafresh Tzadi, which is 690. Number 1. Koreh Adam Es Megillah, Ben Omed, Ben Yoshev. A person can read the Megillah whether standing or sitting. Avalo Yikra Betzibor Yoshev Lechatchila. Bipnei Kavod Hatzibor. But initial practice in a congregation, when you're reading for a synagogue, should be to stand when you read the Megillah because of the honor of the congregation. And the Chazan cannot read the Megillah for everybody until they tell him to read. So you can't just go up. If you decide you wanted to read the Megillah, you can't strong-arm yourself in the synagogue to read the Megillah for everybody else. Mishnah Brura ben Yoshev, Miyu habracha yivarich b'amida. Even if you're going to read the Megillah sitting, the blessings have to be standing. Avalo yikra, rotze lomar, if you read it for the people in the congregation, you have to read it standing. He says, however, if you're leaning on something, that is okay. So it says the reason that a chazan, you need to have the congregation tell him to read before he actually reads the Megillah, is because it's an honor to read for the synagogue, and a person can't take the honor for himself until they tell him to do it. But this is only somebody who he's not used to reading it then. But if you have a chazan, a kavua, a person who always reads the Megillah, they appointed him for this, then you don't have to wait until someone tells him to read. Okay, Beis. Even 2 people, even 10 people, they could read the Megillah together. And they fulfill their obligation. And those that hear from them. So you could have 2 people reading, you could have 10 people reading the Megillah together, and technically you fulfill your obligation. Now, why not? What would the reason that you wouldn't fulfill your obligation? So says the Mishnah Brura, V'lo amrinan detrei kali lo mishtamosh shaper kedamrinan in kriyas Torah u'sha'ari duchtei dekriya zu chaviva b'yaisim b'bnei anes. So he says that usually with laning, when it comes to reading the Torah and other things, we say that if 2 people are reading the same time, you don't fulfill your obligation because you cannot differentiate between the different voices. But here we say that since people love hearing the Megillah so much because of the miracle that happened, and Megillah is a mitzvah which is beloved to people, so then people will pay closer attention to the Megillah. So even if you have multiple people reading together, you fulfill your obligation. They'll pay attention to listen well. But if you realize when you're hearing from multiple people that you're not able to differentiate, you're not able to hear, then you for sure do not fulfill your obligation. So I have actually never been to a Megillah reading where there's multiple people reading at the same time. So this probably won't come up for most of us. But so we said that a person can read the Megillah sitting or standing, except when someone's reading for the congregation. That has to be said standing. Also, the blessings have to be said standing. And we said that technically 2 people to 10 people, numerous people could read the Megillah together, because people love the Megillah and pay attention to the differentiation. And you can pay attention to the differentiation of the voices, unless, of course, you can tell that you're not able to make out the words, then one does not fulfill his obligation. Have a great day.